Hey, it's Dr. Linda Davis, and today I want to work through an update to creating a logo in Gimp. One small slight change. So let me go through that. File, New, that's all the same as before. Advanced options, that's still filled with transparency, and then say OK. We have our canvas here. Now we want to go get our ellipse tool. That's still the same. On the newer versions, Gimp is kind of condensed here as far as the toolbox goes. So you just kind of have to hold your mouse on that, and you have to know that the ellipse tool is inside the rectangle select tool. So I'll hold my mouse down on that, and then I'll go down to ellipse, and I'll draw my ellipse. So I'm going to start from the top corner of the canvas to so that's the top left to the bottom right. I'm going to draw that with my mouse, and I'm going to let go. And you can kind of see the circle it's drawn. Now the circle is very close to the edge, and we want to shrink that down. So next we want to go to the select tool, go down to shrink, and shrink that by 20 pixels, and just say OK. And that just pulls it nicely away from the edges. Now, this is the part that's different between an older version of Gimp and the newer version of Gimp. So as we head into, I think the gradient tool is still the same. So I'll go up to the paint bucket, or sorry, the bucket fill tool. Gradients also in there. Again, hold my mouse button down on that tool and go down over to gradient and look at the gradient functions. I've got to change at least one. I'll change linear to radial instead. I think everything else remains the same. And we're just using black and white, white and black. If you want it white to black, we'll do it like that by using those double arrows. Now, we will also go back up here, and we can just take from the top left, if you want to think of it, of the circle, and draw that down to the diagonally bottom right. Let go. You can kind of see that 3D effect. So that's all still the same in Gimp between the two versions. Now the next part is a bit different, and so we want to go back and we want to kind of turn this off, and we can do that by just clicking on something else, clicking out here. So I clicked on rectangle select, changed it to that, and then clicked out here, and it kind of turned everything off. So now we want to go back to the ellipse tool, and this part's different as well, and we're just going to redraw another circle or ellipse, and top corner to bottom corner again. Now it's obviously way out here. I'm going to shrink it down though by 40 pixels, not 20 pixels, because I don't want it to be the same size as the other one. I want it to be inside this circle. So I'm going to go to, again, select shrink, and change that to 40 like I said, and say OK. And that does not get us inside, so let's shrink one more. Let's take it down to, I don't know if my 20 didn't, let me take it down 20 more. I'm going to get inside there. There we go. That's what I want. So we're inside now, and still using the gradient tool. Again, we'll go to gradient, and let me find my gradient tool. It's still active, so it's still active. Everything's still radial, so that's good. And I'm going to go down. I'm going to leave it light to dark, but I'm going to go down to the bottom, kind of the bottom right corner. It's not a corner, but just call it that, bottom right, and then draw it back toward this way on that inner circle. And you can kind of see how it gives it a 3D kind of depth. And that's kind of what we want so far, just using the black and whites on that. And so we'll go back up to our ellipse tool and just pick again, hold down and pick rectangle select, just to be able to turn it kind of off there. The next part, I want to do color for the next one. So I can just do the ellipse tool again and draw it down like that. Let me try 60, and if that doesn't work, I'll just shrink it down some more. Shrink, I'm going to do 60. Okay, let's see that. Yeah, that takes me inside. I want to circle inside all these other circles. So now this is where I change up the color. I can still do it on gradient. So I can go to gradient, but I'm going to change the colors some. So you can change your colors here. So if you click on that color tool, I can go to aquas or whatever color. Just pick the exact shade I want by cruising around in that and seeing what I like here where it says current. Say OK. And I can pick from up here, and again, it's going to be lighter to darker. See how it's changed it to the aqua shade. And I can just kind of do that again. You can kind of see how that turns. And now that's the last time I'm going to do that. I mean, obviously you could go on a few more times if you wanted to. And I'm just going to change it to rectangle. Select again to kind of be able to turn things off by clicking out here. Now the next layer is going to be a text layer. So there's the text tool. Click on that and then make your changes. For my font, you know, that's your font. It says a font, but if you want to change it off of that font, just click there. And we'll click down and go into something else. Let me do, there's lots of fonts, so it doesn't really matter. I don't care which one you pick. Let me pick Snap ITC. That might be a little big. If it's too big or small, I'll go back and correct that size. Now it's in pixels. You probably want to change that to points, like you're used to seeing your text in points. And I think that still might be a little too big. Let me bring it down a bit. Now, color. That color is probably not going to work on that because it's pretty much the same color. So I can click here as well and change the color. I can, I can go with black, as you can see here, or a black shade. And I can draw my text boxes. I still am on text, so I'm just drawing my text box. And I can type, whatever. You can type your name. I can tell right now that's just way too big, so let me cut that size down. Let me change it down to, you can see it's shrinking as I shrink it here on the down arrow. Like I said, you can put your name in here, whatever you want to do. That makes it uniquely yours. And let's click in there. Now that's probably still a little too big, so I can change it. And Snap ITC is kind of a big font. Now it's a little small. Let me go back up just a bit. If I want to make my text box a little bigger, I can get that little arrow and push out and maybe make it just a tiny bit bigger, like that. Okay. And then, if I want to add some more to that, I can change it to go down and, our class is ISM. Oops. Click back into here at the end. And I can need to make it bigger to show that. But also now you can have two separate text boxes, which is especially handy if you want to have two different font sizes, two different font colors, whatever the case may be. So I may have to shrink that down to get it all in there. Now, also, we didn't do anything about justification, but there's center right there. If you want to center it, it's a very small tool, so you just got to pay attention to what's in there. Now, I don't need this huge box. Let me shrink it back up again. But that's kind of what I was looking for there. Now, on your, I think I've lost one of my windows there, recently closed docs. Let's see. Okay, here's my layers layers, paths, and area down here at the bottom right. We've got two layers. That's what I was looking for. How many layers do I have? Well, I have two layers. I have the background layer we worked on and then the text layer. Okay, so I want to merge those down. So I'm going to go up to Image, down to Merge Visible Layers, and just hit Merge, and that makes it back into one layer. So that means you're kind of finished. Okay. And now you want to save it. It's an important file. If you have export as, always go with export as, and it'll let you name it whatever. Now, obviously, keep it as a .png. All your files need to be .png, and you can call it, your logo .png, as I have up here. And you'll hit export. You can save it to wherever you want to save it, and then the last step is just export. Okay, so, and that kind of gets it saved for you. All right, so just make sure you finish it out like that. All right, thank you for your time. And like I said, it's just a small change in the directions, like affects one or two lines, where the new version of Gimp is a little different from the previous versions of Gimp. Thank you for your time.